Who holds the duty of care in the dangerous tackle? Hawthorn tests the limits in a bid to free captain Jai Newcombe for opening rounds.
Geelong gather the troops as availability becomes clear for the trip to the Gold Coast. Captain Patrick Dangerfield joins us.
And new Brisbane leader Josh Dunkley takes his place in the 360 family as the Lions set themselves for a crack at the three-peats.
I said to the players today, can you help me? I'm on 360 tonight.
Are you aware of that conversation?
Yeah, I don't live under a rock.
The reality is now that the gloves are off, ball's fair and love them more.
My job is pretty clear. Make Hawthorn win.
Wouldn't be very good at hide and seek pitch, I reckon. Marco Polo.
Polo!
Marco. I can't have that. What do you want us to play worse?
When you caught my eye and Mustang.
I reckon it's just about the greatest prize that's ever happened in footy.
Nurse had a look at it, she said, there's a dent in that cup. And I had a bit of a look and sure enough there is.
2 nights to go. Garry Lyon, did you have a beer with Ray Chamberlain in the off-season to sort out your relationship?
Do you think I did, Jared?
I'm going to guess
No. No, I did not, but I'm looking forward to seeing the champ when he comes in here. He's all fired up, I'm sure.
All right, hostilities are about to be renewed on a few fronts. Sydney is the centre of all attention. Let's just take a glimpse through the rectangle window here at the SCG. Charlie Curnow is commanding the sort of attention that key forwards always have done in the Harbour City. This is a hand-picked opening night to really fuel the hostility of the man who walked out on his former club.
I know, and then all the narrative around it was that he wanted to go down to Geelong and get to Torquay, get out of the spotlight. Well, guess what? There's nowhere to hide Thursday night, SCG, with your old mob coming to town. So I think it adds a beautiful bit of spice to it all. I'm not sure that Hayward and Ollie Florin are feeling the same way.
No.
They'll be enjoying the prospect of taking on their own teammates. But
how personal should it be?
It should be personal, no doubt. But I just went through that Geelong team. There's no Reece Jones, there's no Jimmy Buckley, there's no Val Perovic in there. I'll give you the tip right now. The best I could come up with was the captain, Patrick Cripps. And he will set a standard, there's no doubt about it. But they know him well. They know what buttons to pull. It might be verbal rather than physical, Jared, but I'd be disappointed if they aren't in his ear right from the opening bounce.
There has to be a moment.
I don't want to see cuddles. I don't want to see smiles and cuddles. If I sit down in front of the TV and watch that, if I was a Carlton fan, I'd be bitterly disappointed with that. I want to see some attitude to Charlie.
All right, so Sydney training tonight. Carlton went through their final warm-up this morning, and a couple of the youngsters, as Michael Voss had to tell them before he told us last night.
Fair enough too.
Jagger Smith and Harry Dean are going to make their debut, and Jacob Wiedering evidently got through training, and we fully expect him to be on the team sheet when it lands tomorrow.
Yeah, so everything the Carlton fans want to see when you're turning over Charlie Curnow, you need to see the next big thing come through, and Jagger Smith might be that. We don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he did that himself with a 37-38 possession game. And this kid here might quietly become just as important as the games wear on. We know I played a lot of footy against Peter Dean, and he was an outstanding footy player, and they just love the way he's composed, the way that he's competitive and combative, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes Charlie Curnow at some stage in his first game. It's going to be great.
A lot to look forward to.
I know. In fact, he is the sort of personality that I don't think I'm not saying they'll set him for him, but if he finds himself next to him, he looks like the kind of kid to me that'll say, come on, let's get into this first contest.
All right, that's opening round as it shapes up. And the first fair is Sydney and Carlton. Tonight, a couple of captains. Patrick Dangerfield preparing for the fresh season. You spent a lot of time with at Origin. Josh Dunkley, what a time in his life.
Yeah.
Premierships, engaged, now captain,
now
and joining us.
I don't know where it sits. He's got a lot of inspirational Paddy Dangerfield about him, Josh Dunkley, I reckon.
Yeah. And then after us, it's sort of the last plank of Premiership glory is the Fox doco, the Fox footy doco. So it goes to where it'll tell you the story of how the Lions did it with the theme Run Towards the Fire. So there's much to revel in tonight with the key figures from
Very
that
quickly,
day.
have they got 3 in them?
Yep.
Yeah, damn straight they have.
Whether it's 3 in a row or 3 over 4, I think they've got another one in them.
I think so too.
All right, tonight's major footy news revolves around the Tribunal. The first time of asking. Hawthorn is desperate to have its captain, Jai Newcombe, against the Giants on Saturday in the twilight. It's a dangerous tackle suspension that was handed down. And get your each-way tickets ready for the verdict that's come down. For the 4th straight year, Gaz, David's ear is going to sit through every minute at every Tribunal
He loves
case.
it, Jared. You don't want to be anywhere else right now. At some stage, you have to be somewhere else, but right now, he's where he wants to be.
David, welcome back.
I'll tell you, it's pretty alarming that I'm approaching 30. My longest relationship's been with the AFL Tribunal, but that's where we're
It hasn't been lost on us either,
Thank you,
Skeeter.
Gary. Yeah, very
Righto,
nice.
what happened tonight?
Well, the AFL Tribunal are in good news for the Hawks. John Newcomb's ban, it hasn't been thrown out, it's been downgraded to a fine. So he will be playing against the Giants in opening round, his first game as co-captain. Now, this was a relatively straightforward case, you would think. So the Hawks came into this arguing, like so many clubs have, that this isn't careless, it's not rough conduct, and that if it is, it's not medium impact as it was graded, it should be low impact. Now, interestingly, it was the second argument, the impact argument, that gets up. We don't see that happen much in these cases, but the Hawks said this was entirely reasonable in the circumstances. They tried to put the onus on Ed Richards and say that he really should have dropped the ball, even if it meant giving away a free kick to try and protect himself. That argument didn't hold too much sway with the Tribunal, but the argument that did hold sway with them was about impact. Now, the Tribunal came back after, it must be said, because we give them a lot of flack for how long they take. It was probably the quickest one I can remember, just over an hour it took. And they came back and found that it is a dangerous tackle, but it is low impact. There was no injury and absolutely no expression of pain or discomfort or distress from Ed Richards, according to the Tribunal chair, Jeff Gleeson. And the majority of force goes through Ed Richards' hip and shoulder, rather before the head hits the ground. There was an incident with Mason Redmond and Finn O'Sullivan from a previous year that was used, and that was graded low impact. The Tribunal said this was the same level, if not less than that. So impact is what wins the day here for the Hawks. John Newcomb free to play against the Giants.
Pay to play. It's a big result for the Hawks. So just a couple of the elements here, Gaz, is we couldn't have had a finding that Ed Richards needed to drop the ball and reach out here. That would have changed the paradigm entirely on the duty of care and the dangerous tackle.
They've arrived at, for them, the perfect result. And when we saw it on the night, we suggested that it won't go because the contact didn't appear to be that severe, and that's where they found it in the end. So, yeah, the alternative was just not palatable at all. Put the onus on Ed Richards to throw the ball away just so he can protect himself. Then the game changes if that's the result. So, yeah, like it or not, they've got themselves out of a pickle here.
The murky territory for the duration of the year now is when to apply the potential to cause injury or not. So this is literally low.
Yeah.
So you look at it and go, that's low impact. But the way that this has been graded for a couple of years now has been this could have resulted in concussion or a heavier knock or concussion. So it's been upgraded to medium. And for the most part, that's been upheld along the way. And tonight it's reduced as we enter the season. I feel like at the start of last year, they made a blunder with the dangerous push, and it took about 16 weeks to fully correct itself, and then the alteration was made in the rules. It's just a murky area. Of course, this is low impact. And in this case, they haven't used the potential to cause injury. Where do they use it and where do they not?
Well, I would argue, without wanting to make this a long segment, that Sam Durham had the potential to cause injury. So it is the potential to cause injury, and it can't go to the next level unless the head hits the ground. That's where it sits.
Yeah,
right.
so it's only a reportable offence if the head hits the ground.
Is that right?
Yep.
Mate, do you think that's right?
Yes, it is.
So you can do everything, and again, I'm not trying to get Sam Durham suspended because he's off and he's free to play, so good on him. But that had every chance to cause injury.
Yep.
Every chance. The action, the double grab, the throw to the ground, it was arguably more chance of him causing injury than John Newcomb. So the potential, if you want to throw potential to cause injury, then Sam Durham was had a much greater potential to cause injury than John Newcomb.
Yeah, it just has to be a reportable offence at the outset.
Yeah, I understand.
So we enter our year of tribunal debates.
We're off and racing.
The story of the off-season revolved around a dual Brownlow medalist and Premiership captain Lachie Neale. It was a salacious story that's had football ramifications and played out through social media and the gossip pages.
Good morning, and thank you for coming today. I'll read the following statement regarding my personal situation. I understand the interest in my personal life, but these are personal matters, and I won't be answering any questions on that topic today. I can confirm, though, that with regret, Jules and I have now separated. While I won't go into specifics, I can say that I have let my family down, and I apologise for my actions, which have hurt those closest to me. I've made the decision to stand down as co-captain and from the leadership group, effective immediately. I'm extremely disappointed in myself, and I've put plans in place to do the work on myself so that I can be the best version of myself moving forward.
The private circumstances are none of our business. The football implications are very much being debated right across and sort of set the scene for what's to come with the Lions. How do these matters reverberate through a football club?
Well, again, it's hard for us to know, but the bottom line is it will affect some players more than it will others. And then the element of how it will affect Lockie and his footy. So I'm going to deal with Lockie first. I think he'll deal with it and continue to play at the standard that we expect. He's already demonstrated his capacity to put distraction aside. And, we look at the this is different, obviously, this is of a personal nature. But the footy distraction leading into the grand final, whether he would play or not, was enormous. And he comes and plays and was best on ground in the second half. He handles that no problem. In his first game back, I think, after this personal issue, he was best on ground in the community. So that man there, I think, will handle the football side of it fine. Then it's for the rest of his teammates to be able to separate what goes on at the football field and then what goes on outside of it. And now for some, the older players, I would imagine, that have partners and relationships with Lockie's ex-partner, that is when it becomes an issue where they've got to get it on the table and say, righto, let's deal with this. And I don't know. We don't know. We will never know. And I don't care to delve into it. But I heard that, Harris and the leaders got together and they talked about it. And I think that'll be the end of it from their point of view. There's younger blokes in there that it won't affect in any way, shape or form. And the older blokes, I would imagine, it's a good footy club, they're a really good footy club, they will have dealt with it by now and moved on. So I think this is a footy club that will handle it. I think there are other footy clubs that might struggle to, but this looks to me to be a group that handles the footy side of it. We're not touching the other side. Yep. That's a much different scenario.
It was immediately necessary to stand down as captain, wasn't it?
Sure, yeah, and because of lots of things. His future is very much up in the air as well, and to take that off the table immediately helped us. That's one question that we don't have to sit here today to debate. Otherwise, we'd go, how can he be captain of the footy club on the back of this? So that was the correct decision. But we'll talk to Josh in a moment, and that he'll front up those questions. So I think this is a footy club that can handle it, Jared. I really do.
So Chris Fagan was tone perfect when he spoke for the first time about it, expressing empathy for all involved,
of course,
who have been part of the Lions community along the way, and also saying that what's best for Lockie, that's where the Lions will be for him. If he, at the end of this season, he's committed for this season, he's got a choice to make on where he needs to be geographically. The football will fit in around that. And he took all the tension out of that immediately by going, whatever Lockie wants, we will facilitate.
Yeah, and he also alluded to the fact that, his wife or ex-wife was a massive part of the football club as well, and that his thoughts are with her in what has been a really difficult situation as well. So you can't escape. I mean, the nature of the coverage of that was just off the charts, and the players won't be able to escape that. But for most, I would imagine then getting back to clubland and closing the door on all that sort of stuff would be a relief. So no, I've got supreme confidence in the player, to come back and continue to play at the level. I think he demonstrated already that he can handle that. And I think this footy club handles the whole thing from a football club point of view.
Yep.
And that's all we care about.
And the evolution to the captaincy when Josh Dunkley stood with Hugh McCluggage and joined the incumbent Harris Andrews, it looked very natural. It looked like a very natural evolution in time for this team. So we'll pick that up with Josh Dunkley shortly as he assumes a share of the leadership at the Brisbane Lions. Patrick Dangerfield's been part of our 360 setup for a while. Drives a new Ford, reigning GVP champion.
He does indeed.
Josh
he
Dunkley
deserves it.
He's spent a couple of grand final weeks with us. Takes up permanent residency. How about this for a baker's dozen of players to take us through the season? Nick Dacos right at the forefront of us. Josh Dunkley, Jordan Dawson, Will Day and Harry Sheasel, two of the young stars. Harry Mackay, Errol Goulden, Touk Miller, Andrew Brayshaw, Patrick Dangerfield is back alongside Toby Green, Zach Merritt and Ed Richards are the players who share 2026 with us. and in the search for great glory. We have quite a good record too here, which furthers with one of our guests tonight.
Which is why he's jumped on board. He knows where his bread's buttered. I'm not talking about the old bloke. I'm talking about the young bloke.
He was with us in grand final week here in the studio. Now he takes his place permanently on Players Night. Josh Dunkley. Josh, it's great to have you on board. Welcome.
Nah, thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having me on.
And Patrick Dangerfield, GVP reigning champion. Pat, welcome back.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
All right, I want to take a peek behind the curtain with the two of you. Maybe, Gaz, you go first. What was it like to have Patrick Dangerfield?
It's a pain in the neck it was, Jared. Right from the very first Zoom meeting we had, he wouldn't shut up. No one could get a word in. No, it was. I tell you what it was. It was having watched him play, throughout his career as an observer and a commentator, and marvelled at his abilities. To be able to sit there and be on the same team with him, I'm not being silly about this. Was just one of the highlights, and I did go up to him before the game and said that to him. I've said, I've watched your whole damn career, and I've marvelled at your ability, and to be able to, to sit on the same side of him is a joy. And in the end, thank God we had him, because he didn't let anyone down. He did what he's been doing his whole career. This here was one of my favourite moments. I just thought we were cooked then. That was going to be an intercept mark. It was a real critical time of the game, and the old boy's legs just exploded, and he got one last contest in, and that goal sort of sealed it. So no, it was a highlight. To be, if I'm being serious, it was a great highlight to be in the same room as him.
So he had you as the chef de mission. What was it like to have Gaz in the inner sanctum, Pat?
I think he made it. I don't want this to turn into a love fest, Jared. At the risk of that, I think what makes these things work is the passion that underpins it, and that was clearly the success of the 80s and 90s, and that was going to be, somewhat hard to replicate. So there was no point trying to replicate it, because it's a different time now. But Gaz brought that for us as a Victorian team, because we didn't have that in the crowd. We didn't have, it was very much a parochial Western Australian crowd, and very much one-sided. So Gaz brought that passion and enthusiasm for the Big V and what it means and the history surrounding it. And I'm closer to Gaz in age, I think, than most of the players that were playing. So the connection between he, myself and Max was pretty clear, because we're the old guys in the team.
Well, you have to pick the baton up and run with it. Hopefully in 15, 20 years' time, State of Origin is still going, and it's the likes of Pat and Max will keep driving it. And I reckon the bloke sitting next to him on our big screen is going to get a look in at some stage as well. That's why it was so important, Jared, to get it right, because God love Patrick. At some stage, his career will come to an end, and his spot's got to be filled, and that's the Josh Dunkleys of the world are going to fill him.
Is it a Guernsey one day that you would like to wear, Josh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the pride and the passion you could see was, on show over there in Perth was really special. So I think it was a great concept. I hope they continue to do it, because, for guys like myself that weren't able to get over there and or be picked, you want to be picked in that team to play with, some special players.
Josh, what a time in your life it's been. So a third premiership, a best and fairest to go with it. You get engaged in the off-season, you're elevated to captaincy of the club, and you take up with us here. Does it feel like a real time in your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time in life. I was talking to a few people, and it's great that we've been able to do what we've done over the last couple of years. But, to share some of those memories now with family and obviously my fiancée, and those little things is very special. So I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in. But, I know that there's a job at task, and, look forward to hopefully leading the boys well this year.
So the engagement is fantastic. We're excited about that. From a footy point of view, we judge players on big stages. You've played in 5 grand finals and you've won 3 of them. It is extraordinary. I know you understand, because we've had you in here and you've talked about it, and you understand the privilege of playing in grand finals, but getting the job done as well. It's an outstanding record.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not too big on the records, to be honest, until I'm done. You move on pretty quickly as a footballer, and I think we've been able to do that, and I've been able to do that as an individual over my career. So being able to continue to get to work and, do the little things that help us get to that point is what I'll look to do. But, it is nice to look back when you do look back and you hear those sort of stats and comments. It is an absolute privilege.
When you sat with us on the Thursday night and you'd been spied in a moon boot, it turns out you were nursing a grade 3 syndesmosis. What was that doing to you privately? Did it put an edge around the week?
Well, yeah, I had to grit the teeth when I walked into there on, I think it was a Thursday night. But no, it was, it was an interesting week for myself. Something that I'll look back on probably one day and think, how did I do that? To be honest, it was the worst pain I've ever felt playing a game of football. So it was very sore, but I was able to manage my way through it. I think the best thing I did was sort of tell myself that I was going to be fine, and then everyone around me thought I was going to be fine. So there was no other reason other than to be fine. And I'm glad I sort of put myself out there on grand final day and played the role that I could play for the team. And, yeah, we were fortunate enough to get up.
So did you have to convince medical staff? Did you have to convince the coach? What did you go through to be able to plant your flag and go, no, I'll be right?
No, I was probably lucky that I went back on against the Pies. So I did it in the third quarter, early stages of the third quarter, and I was able to play out the game, with some help of some meds and a couple of jabs in the ankle. But if I didn't play that second half, I might have been in trouble, I reckon, because Fags probably wouldn't have been able to tell whether I'd be able to get through a game. And, a grade 3 syndesmosis is pretty serious stuff. So, yeah, to be able to get through that was big. The Sunday got the scan, and then, fortunate enough on the Monday to sort of get the all clear from the medicos that I'd be able to, do my week as per and, get to grand final day and be ready to go.
So that's the uplifting story, Paddy. And then the other side of the coin is, you get to a grand final day again and you just fall short. We had Chris in here last night and he said, well, he deals with it in his own way. He hasn't reviewed it. He's looked at bits and pieces of it, but he doesn't want to overplay, the adverse effects of losing the granny. How do you deal with it? You handled yourself magnificently post-siren. You got round to all the players, but when you get a quiet moment, what's the overwhelming sentiment?
Well, it's the fine balance between what you can learn from it and then making sure you don't live in it and with it. So you live with it in a sense of it's, clearly it's a grand final, it's an opportunity that you would have loved to have nailed but haven't. But you can't be disabled by that disappointment. And if you live in it too long, you run the risk of doing that. The message for our guys, and even internally, talking to myself in the dark moments post, is we had a hell of a season. We just didn't have as great a season as Brisbane, who are incredibly deserving. And even just listening to Josh now, having had syndesmosis surgery, people, when they hear grade 3, I don't think it really means anything to anyone. But having had that, it's extraordinary to be able to back up and play a week later. And unless you've actually experienced that, I think most people would go, oh, that sounds painful. But the how it's judged is the splitting of the bone, and grade 3 is as serious as it gets. So, mate, just listening to that is inspirational in itself. But for our guys, it was, disappointment clearly. But we've had a hell of a year and we just haven't quite got there. And 17 other teams were in that same position. We got the closest, but we just didn't quite get there. So it stings over the summer. It'll sting longer for some. Personally, for me, you've got to move on quickly, and I did.
So do you still see it as a successful year? I mean, we, from the outside that never won one, think it's all or nothing. This is the thing we always sit back on and look at regrettably. But do you still see last year as a successful year?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think if you look at it relatively to other years, you go, yes, absolutely, it was a successful year. And even it was funny, chatting with Bucks pre-Christmas, just randomly in the hallway, on the field at various stages, we sort of, got into those areas. And he spoke about the success and the season it was. And I did ask him, I did say, but you would have viewed it that way, one time ago. But with the wisdom of time, age, experience, I think you do have a greater understanding that if you only ever look as a premiership being the one defining moment that means you've had a successful year, then, geez, it's going to be lonely. And Chris has been incredible as a coach for, the decade that I've been involved in the club with that approach. Doesn't mean it's not hard at various stages, and sometimes you've got to live a bit of a lie. But it's a better way to live, and it's a better way to enjoy your footy.
Josh, the final plank really is tonight, the Fox Footy doco reliving what transpired, and particularly from the qualifying final to the grand final. there's a necessity to revisit it at this time. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy reflecting on the story of winning that flag?
Yeah, I mean, and Danger's hitting the nail on the head too, though. Like, you learn so many lessons from the losses that you have in grand finals, and I don't think we would be in the position that we're in at the moment without losing that one to Collingwood a couple of years ago. So it's awesome to be able to relive the memories of winning some, but at the same time, like, you do remember, and it still gets me out of bed, losing that 2023 grand final to Collingwood. Like, if I'm struggling one day to get myself up, I think back to, for me, it was slipping over in a centre bounce against Geordie to go before he kicks that goal. And, a lot of other guys have other motivations around that game too. So it's important to learn those lessons and, hold yourselves in good stead. But at the same time, when you do look back on the wins, they are very special. So it's great that we were able to do that over the last couple of weeks. And, look forward to watching it tonight. I'm fairly sure it's going there.
Good stuff. At the Lachie Neale scenario, as it played out across the summer, Josh, was it challenging to observe firsthand?
Oh, I mean, it's always challenging when you're talking about people's personal lives. It's very tough, and it's obviously not something that plays out in the media all the time. So we've been able to support Locke and Jules in both aspects, and we just wrap our arms around him and their family, and hope that everything moves on quicker and we can get on with football now that the season's starting. So it's nice to be able to focus on footy moving forward, and as a footy club, we're looking forward to doing that.
One of the knock-on effects has been the question over the culture, which is something that I imagine you jealously guard, what Chris Fagan and your players have built together. Do you feel that that's been unfair?
Yeah, I mean, I would never question our culture, to be honest. Like, I've never seen a footy club be in the shape they're in at the moment. The boys are so close. There's so many laughs had within the club, and I think we've had a few media people come in over the pre-season and they've been able to witness, what we're about. So to be able to get people in and showcase what we do around the football club. I mean, you look at Geelong as well. Like, they've had sustained success for a reason, and I think that's to do with culture. So teams like that you try and emulate throughout the year and throughout the pre-season, because that's what helps footy clubs be successful. So we've been able to do that for a period of time now, and we're stronger than ever at the moment.
Record suggests you're getting it right, which is great news for Brisbane supporters. Patrick, Friday night, you're heading up there to take on a Suns team that's stacked and loaded, and I think they probably eye you guys off right now as a magnificent scalp to take in opening round. What's the challenge like?
Yeah, it's big. It's I think the conditions compound it. They obviously it's very different to what Melbourne is at the moment, and they had a hell of a year last year, and they've added some pretty special players. So we're under no illusions what it's going to take to go up there and to get it right.
We've been watching a whole lot of players at Geelong from an injury perspective across the week, but you weren't on that list. Are you in doubt for Friday night?
Hello.
Yeah, long story short, yes, I've got to get through a session Thursday morning. I just couldn't get to the speed they wanted to today. I had a calf knock a couple of weeks ago and just couldn't get to speed against Carlton, and the same thing today. So getting above a certain kilometres per hour is obviously a critical part of preparing, and we won't take a risk that's unnecessary regardless of whether it's round one, but it's sort of, you'd rather miss one than miss four. So Thursday morning, sort of D-Day around me, and we've probably got a few others in that boat in terms of the decision that we make and whether it's a conservative one or whether we're more aggressive.
And Josh, Saturday night, you're playing against your old side, which has got some perfect little ring about it. Is it a little special coming up against the Bulldogs, or is it just another game against a contender?
No, I think it is special. I mean, I've always, I've still got relationships there that I'm close with a lot of the guys, so it's going to be great to be out there on Saturday night. I think it's actually not going to be sunny. It's going to be pouring rain, so that'll be good fun. I remember last year we were facing a cyclone, so I hope that doesn't come. But, yeah, fingers crossed we can get out there and put on a show in opening round, which is a great aspect too. I think that's going to be awesome, and the doggies are going to be up there this year, I think, so it's going to be a great test for us.
Pat, just there overall, how are you approaching the season personally? Are you Will you approach it that it could be the last? Do you approach it with a determination that you'll wait and see along the way? What's in your mind as you come to the fresh journey?
Yeah, it's interesting, Jared. It's a bit of wait and see. I think it's important that if you're going to make the commitment to play on, you've still got to be not at the peak. I know I'm realistic of where I'm at, but you've got to be able to impact and do that over the course of what is a 26, 27-week season. So for me, that isn't playing every game. That's listening to the signs of a body that's approaching 36. So I think as long as the passion and the ability to impact is still there, I'd love to keep playing. But that's not a decision really that will be made from me and from the club until very much the back end of the year, because just so much can change with players as they get older, and Father Time, hasn't had many, if any, losses. So it's unique because I've never sat in this position where it's like, yeah, this could be it. And I'm mindful of just how great the game is and how much fun it is, and making sure that, the decision is the best one for the club and the direction we're going, and not a selfish one. But it's just so much fun to play and to be a part of that you just want to keep enjoying it.
It's great to have you both with us.
It is.
We'll share the journey of 2026 with you. Pat, good luck. We'll see you maybe Friday night, maybe the following week. Good luck.
Fingers crossed.
And Josh
Thanks,
Dunkley,
guys.
the best of luck for Saturday night.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Good on you, boys.
Our players with us
Nice way to
every
open up.
Tuesday night. Yeah.
Two big guns.
Excellent. Right over to Razor's Edge. It's never
Bring
been
him
more
in.
topical.
Bring him in. Need to see the little fella.
How are the umpires going to implement the AFL's desire for this little change? Well, not little change, this spate of changes to the game.
Now, worrying signs for me, ugly signs on the weekend. Okay, a concerning trend for me over the last few years has been the lack of players that pull their socks up. The umpires have got their socks down. What's going on? No, what's going on? That's a big concern for me, Buck. So, now I got in here early today and I've decided to lab it up, my first lab of the year. The umpires with their socks down. Now, boys, on the weekend, this is what I expect to see. Pull your socks up, umps.
That's very good.
I like it. I'm with him.
I have a feeling the umpires have been issued undersized socks. Welcome, Ray Chamberlain.
Guys, so good to be back. How are we?
I could do a sock joke if it's too early.
Don't go. Come on,
I know, it's way too early.
Let's be kind. Figuratively and literally, pull the socks up early.
Well, if the players aren't pulling them up, then the umpires can do it as well. And I don't think that's the most pressing issue they're going to face
No.
in the
So
coming weeks.
it feels like this is vital with what the game is attempting and what it's asking the umpires to do. So Razor's Edge, I imagine, will be quite edgy. How significant do you think the task is for the umps?
Yeah, I think there's February. The way I'd put it is there's no need to flip out in Feb. We can pace ourselves. And every year in my 20 years involved, there's a practical element that comes in Feb, which is following the theory stuff. And for the umpires who officiated over the last 10 days, it's the first time they've had two opposing rucks, as an example, genuinely competing for the ball. You go to, they've been at training more often than they haven't, the umpires at Clubland, but particularly with ruck, they don't bash each other in January and Feb. They sit there and tap it, and they don't really do it. So I think what you'll find is a lot of this stuff, they'll be wrinkled out by close of business tonight out at umpires training and coaching. Individuals will have had things highlighted, the group will be shown, and now there'll be this practical lens which they'll look through as to how they want it applied. And I suspect by the time we hit our opening round, we'll get the water.
We'll get it better, but it's not to suggest we're going to be perfect, is it? I mean, I think that's the other thing about all this, is that we've got to understand that this is a pretty substantial change.
Yeah, progress ahead of perfection, obviously. And, I love in principle what the AFL are trying to do philosophically. Get the ball in play more often, lose dead time, disincentivise high contact, so don't reward poor behaviour, and can we get the rucks jumping at the ball again? And I think in principle, it's pretty hard to argue with any of that. And now it's just this piece about, OK, where's the practical application, and can we educate the group to appropriately pull the right rein?
All right, so let's have a play with the ruck, where the rule is a little, well, it's not terribly prescriptive as to what will and won't be a free kick. There's been a lot of examples given. There are some... It's like case law, I suspect. It's going to evolve.
Yes, that's beautifully put, Jared. And we saw last night, Swanee was on, and we looked at the Pitnet example as an example, and I've got a couple of others for us to look at to highlight what I think we need to look at here. And what Swanee was attempting to articulate was, in this instance here, play on would be the best call, and all the umpires will know this, but what's the why? Why is it play on,
Yeah,
Jared?
I need you to explain this to me, because he does end up on the other side of the line.
And what I think we need to do is don't get too wedded. We're not looking for foot faults. It's not the tennis. So the spirit of the law, which overarches over all ruck laws, and there's a spirit of law to all the laws, is a player whose sole objective is to contest the footy shall be permitted to do so. So in this instance here, no one's been interfered with. Pitnet gets out of the way, he slips him. So he's just trying to avoid getting pinned. He hasn't impacted De Koning at all, and then the ball's just there. So his sole objective has not been to interfere with his opponent, but merely to contest the ball. So play on's the right result.
He did miss him though, didn't he? He didn't make contact
at all. Didn't touch him.
So is he allowed? A player's allowed to go around them in contest?
In this instance here, you don't have to let him pin you.
He's got eyes on De Koning there, not the ball.
No, that's okay. There's no free kick for where you look.
Yeah, but he's ended up. Look where he's ended up when he's got the ball.
So it's a really good question. If we have a look at the next two, because I think you're making a really great point, Gaz, and it's this one here, free kicks paid. Now, it shouldn't be. So we get wedded to where the line is, okay? But the umpire doesn't throw the ball up straight.
Right.
So in theory, if we throw the ball dead straight, then no, the rucks won't cross the line. But theory's a beautiful thing. You know better than I. Practically, the throw won't go dead straight every time.
So who calls that though? Is that the second umpire? Because the guy's throwing it up. Does he realise, oh no, I've thrown it off centre, therefore I've got to allow him to come over the line and not call it?
So the ball should be your guide, right? So the drop zone of the ball, they can't go past the footy to interfere with their opponent. Now, if you throw the ball up directly straight on the line, beauty. If you happen to dink it a little bit, then that's where you've got to adjust to allow the rucks to have a sole objective to contest the ball. Don't get wedded to the paint.
So there's another one with Marshall, and it's only a couple of minutes
later.
So
it's 2 minutes later. So we pay the free kick the first time, and I understand why, but I don't think we should. But the second one we call play on, which is the right result. And again, whilst they make contact with one another, Marshall does not go past the ball. So that you can see there, he never goes beyond the drop zone of the ball. Now, is he marginally over the paint? Yes, he is. But again, it's because the throw has gone there. He's done nothing wrong. We don't want umpires paying free kick because they can't throw a ball up straight. Now, I sound like I'm being derogatory towards the umpires. I suspect it's a little harder than we think to throw it up straight. I know there's a few of them that would rather bounce it, to be honest, than try and throw it up straight. But I think we can all agree we don't want an umpire paying a free kick because a player can't cross a bit of paint because he didn't throw it up straight.
Oh, I think we're going to have fun, not fun, we're going to have debates about that going forward because there will be others going, hang on, is it a line or is it not a line?
I'd like them, if we can roll it back to that last one, there's one more watch this space and I think we're going to see some movement that will take place in relation to Ruck. So if we watch Marshall when he runs in, what does he do with his lead arm? So one Ruck jumps at the ball only, and the other ruck goes bang and pins him and knocks him out of the contest. So one player, you would say his sole objective is to contest the football, and the other ruckman, sole objective, or certainly prime objective, was to get rid of his opponent first. Now, currently, that is legal. Right. That's legal ruck work. But prior to 2017, Jared, that was a free kick for a block. And I suspect that we'll see some movement over the year in relation to this.
We've got to keep moving, but ultimately they want two ruckmen to be watching the ball and run
go
and jump at the footy.
And go at
That's
it.
Basically
and let them do it.
Yeah. So if you bumper bar the opposition ruckman who's left the ground and has no centre of gravity,
he'll end up at his back.
Yeah.
And currently, that's within the guidelines. And that's fine and fair, and it has been since about 2017.
Yeah.
I suspect that's going to need a tweak.
So that's the red flag at the moment.
Yeah.
I reckon. Just to give us a primer on the stand rule, what's the risk here?
So stand's not new, obviously, but what we're going to see is a more literal approach. The players know. The umpires have been out to their training every week, and they know what's required. So if you're within the protected area, which we'll get to see highlighted up here in a tick, someone has to stop and stand. So in this instance here, caddy comes through the protected area, he's required to stop and the umpire will be calling out to stand, but he sags off to cover the player who's leaked around the skinny side. So he has to pull up. The same in this instance here. Richards just keeps backing off. He has to pull up. Now, there's a couple of things that are really important about this. The first one is the players and the umpires have got to collaborate. So if he corrects, you're not going to pay a 50-metre penalty because he moved 2 blades of grass back. They pull up, the umpires will work with them. But you'll see in both of those examples, the umpires are 40, 50, 60 metres away from the player who they're asking to stand on the mark. So whilst there are 4 umpires on the field, you still have to run. So it's incumbent upon our umpires to make sure they get where they've got to get so that they can communicate effectively and collaborate with the player and effectively manage these situations.
All right. I suspect we'll have a long list for you next week.
My word, we will.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Every Tuesday, a bit of Razor's Edge. Vital, you suspect, the way this season is going to unfold. Simo and Horse made such an impact last year. They make us smarter every week. They'll turn their minds to the events of 2026 as they return to 360 tomorrow night.
Here's the thing about history. It never reveals itself before the fact. It comes unannounced in moments.
Oh, my God.
Slivers of time that leave you and I breathless. One moment could spark the dawn of a new era. It could break the drought. It's becoming the best, staying the best.
The main man again.
Welcome to season 2026, where every moment matters. First up Thursday, the season openers bound for the Harbour City. Swans unleashing their new spearhead, Charlie Curnow.
Wow. Awesome from Charlie.
Colours look a bit different on you, mate. They bring out your eyes.
Sydney's prize recruit set for an immediate navy blue reunion.
The Baggers are back.
That's right, Carlton. How will Vossi's men fare with the pressure spotlight shining ferociously on them in 2026?
Great start. Great start.
Friday night footy returns to the Gold Coast. Dimmer's Suns bursting with belief. Now throw in this bloke, Christian Petrarca.
There's none better.
Look out. Here come the forever contending Cats, ready to break the shackles of a September shocker. Super Saturday. How we've missed our exclusive Super Saturdays. And what a way to kick it off in 2026. The Giants and the Hawks, both with bellies full of hope.
Got to work for him. Got to work.
Leading into the Gabba, our first look at the reigning champs, the Lions. How about these Lions? Eyes now firmly set on equaling the greatness of Lethal's Invincibles. Up against Bevo's Bulldogs.
Good work. Great intensity.
So much firepower. With third generation, son of the West, Sam Darcy.
Oh, fantastic.
And of course, the Bont. How good is Marcus Bontempelli?
You need the full Bonty.
Wrapping up with a Sunday ticket showstopper at the G, St Kilda and Collingwood. And have a look at these two wonderkinds, Messiah Wanganeen Malira and Nick Dacos, two gunslingers that stare down the barrel of big moments and rise to them.
The Dacos difference.
So finally, here we go. Season 2026, the moments, slivers of time, the making of history. They're ready, and so are we. 218 games wrapped in peerless opinion and analysis, with a healthy dose of fun along the way.
Anything is possible on a day that they will never, ever forget.
Fox Footy.
It's good to have you back.
It's about as big a weekend as there'll be all year. The opening of the AFL season and the opening of the Formula One season with the Australian Grand Prix. And guys, it's a momentous night for Foxtel and KO with the formal announcement of the contract extension that F1 stays right here.
Outstanding.
So the voice of the sport is with us. He's here in Melbourne to call this early season race. David Crofty, it's great to have you back on 360. Welcome.
It is great to be back. How are you guys?
We're well. What's the excitement like ahead of the dawn of the new season?
The excitement is reaching fever pitch, trust me, and not just because of the KO announcement, which we are all very, very pleased about. People are en route down here to Melbourne. Some have been delayed, but everyone should get here. The freight's fine. That's got here with the cars. The situation in the Middle East has not been ideal for anyone, really. Formula One, I think, fades into insignificance compared to a lot of the problems, but it's a hurdle to be overcome, and people will find their way. The race will go ahead. It's a brand new season, new rules, new regulations. If this was AFL, we've taken the football, we've put a load of battery power in it, and we've made it smaller and more nimble. Not quite sure how that'd go on an oval, but that's what we've done.
What about if it was a cricket game, Crofty? Did you do something about the bat for your Englishman? You weren't down here watching that, were you, by any chance?
Sorry. So it's really loud in the background. Look, don't start on the cricket. How's that T20 working out for you? Yeah, the Mitre Zimbabwe. How's that working out for you, boys?
We don't worry about that little small skinny stuff. Tell us about Lando and Oscar. What's going to go on there?
Everything's going to go on there. McLaren are one of the favourites once again. Lando, as world champion, has got the pressure of expectation as to whether he's going to win a championship off his back. Now he's got the pressure of expectation to go and defend that title. And he's talking a very good game going into this season. Oscar, I think a future world champion. Could have happened last year. We'll go on to that in a minute, I think. But he soaks things up. He learns from adversity. He has developed and improved in every year he's been in Formula One, and I expect the same again this year. But what I do know that is going to happen, McLaren will give them equal chance, equal opportunity to go out there and be the best. And as we know, you can't always do that. So you get a bit of fun and games with it.
Oh, I hear what you're selling. No one in Australia is buying that, Crofty. Level
not at all.
Do you know the phrase nobbled? Oscar was nobbled.
Nobbled? No, he wasn't nobbled. Things didn't work out. There were those races where he struggled on a low grip track. Oscar Piastri did what is known in the trade as a Fremantle Docker last year. He was looking so good for much of the season, and when it came to the crunch time, he just fell a little bit short. With apologies to Justin Longmuir and the boys on that one, but he did a Docker. This year, let's hope he goes one better, right?
That's very nice.
Do you really mean that, Crofty? Do you really mean that? You hope he goes one better or not?
Yeah. No, I do. I do mean that. I've got a lot of time for Oscar. I think he's a super driver. He's a wonderful human being. Stop it. You sound like an Australian politician. Right? I think Oscar Piastri is a world champion in the making. I think he will win a world title. It might be this year, but there's 6 drivers for me that have got a chance of winning this year. And if he doesn't do it this year, he'll do it the year after. It will come. Be patient, boys. Just like the Dockers. Be patient.
Fresh seasons come with a great dose of mystery. That'll be true of the AFL. It's clearly true of F1. So you've seen all the testing and trying to interpret what's going on. How unpredictable is this race, the early stages of the season?
Well, it's massive because we went to Barcelona for a shakedown and then we went to Bahrain for 2 tests, and now we're playing on a completely different pitch. Albert Park is so unlike Bahrain. The teams have got a massive learning exercise going on this weekend to incorporate the boost, which is the electrical power, 8 megajoules over the course of a lap. Where do you put the overtake in if you get that extra half a megajoule? The straight line mode, how is that going to affect your speed and then your battery recharge and your battery deployment? How are you going to cope with the tyres on this track as well, which have got narrower and less contact patch than last year? How are the cars going to fare in racing conditions? We haven't had a race yet. So that there's so much to be learned. And the best thing is we then go to China next week, which is a completely different track once again, and it's a sprint weekend, so only one practice session. So the teams are really up against it. And that, to me, after 20 years in the business calling Formula One, that gives me massive excitement, because the teams don't know what's going to happen. I haven't got a clue what's going to happen. We just know we can watch it on KO and experience it live every time the wheels turn around. It's the only constant we've got at the moment.
You're building it up beautifully, Crofty. Last one before we let you go. The race is massive, but it is a big event. Is Kim Kardashian coming down?
You are the 55th person to ask me that so far today. Last time I spoke to Kim, she was trying to clear her diary, but she was meant to be washing her hair on Saturday night, so she's going to try and move her appointment at the salon to see if she can come down here. Haven't got a clue, but I would love to see Kim Kardashian at a racetrack. Lewis couldn't keep up with Charles Leclerc last year. He can keep up with the Kardashians this year. Boom, boom.
Crofty, have a great call, have a great season. Thanks for sharing it with us in the build-up.
Cheers, guys, and go Dockers, right? Go Dockers. Dockers, go.
What's the Docker
David Croft, get him an extra glass of champagne.
I think he needs one, yeah.
F1 stays at Fox Sports and KO. Righto, Gaz, for Supercoach players, it's time to get active, study the form from the pre-season, add in the opening round form and get yourself set for round one when the competition begins in earnest. $50,000 up for grabs. Use the QR code there, assemble your team and beat your mates.
Well done, Geraldo.
All right.
Nice work by you.
See you tomorrow night. The Brisbane Lions Grand Final doco. The last piece of celebration for Lions fans. Run towards the fire premieres now on Fox Sports.